And tonight we're going to be working on binding cords, and also somebody requested some information about shielding. So tonight we're going to be working on those items, and if you have questions along the way, we'll get to those also. One of the things that I have discovered is that different things in life, the metaphors. In fact, I just found some stuff that I had written down a year ago in a notebook as I was looking for a spare page to write something else down. And it talked about how everything is significant when you look at something and compare it to life or to an event that happens in nature naturally. And so when you look at something, for example, we talked about frequencies 101 for our holistic healing, and we compared how adjusting a frequency was just like finding a radio station out that you really want to listen to, and you adjust the dial and you make sure the antenna is right, and then you got to make sure that you actually turn it on. And if there could be something wrong with your receiver, every little aspect of that could be something that we need to make sure we fix when we try and attract something into our lives. Well, the same thing, here I am, and here's my story. I always ask people, okay, it comes up on binding cords, which is on my offline chart here that I've got, which you don't have access to anywhere, but when I use this reference, then now you'll understand what's going on. And I said, have you listened to my Walmart sock story, And most people nowadays will say, oh yeah, I remember that, what you're talking about. But not everybody understands this. So I thought it would be very appropriate to kind of go over that. Somebody was mentioning that, yeah, I give that story. When I went to Las Vegas on a trip, anytime you fly on the airplane, you can't take your knife, you can't take, scissors, a lot of those things, especially if you're just taking a carry-on. And about the only thing you can get away with nowadays is fingernail clippers. Fortunately for me, because when I went to Las Vegas, I found out I was missing some things. In fact, let's just move this along here. I was missing some socks. I needed, because my normal attire, most people know, is a pair of shorts and a t-shirt. I usually go barefoot. And for some reason, I was lacking socks. I can't remember the exact reason. I needed some footy socks, just like these. And when I went to the Walmart store that was close by, because I know I can buy stuff at Walmart, and I don't have to be, it was close. I always have a car when I travel, so it was easy for me to do that. I went to Walmart, and I went through, and I found the perfect set of socks. Now, it wasn't exactly this brand here, but it gives you the same idea, and there was 6 pair of white socks. And for me, that's always a good thing in case I lose one. But anyway, I got these socks, and I thought, oh, these are perfect. I took them back to my hotel room, and lo and behold, this is what I expected. When you take off that outside cardboard piece, I expect the socks to fall apart, so that you can actually use them, because these are products, they're ready to go, with one exception. When doesn't come this way. When I took them off, they were still all bound together. And I can understand packaging, you need to make sure that you're not losing a sock. You want to make sure that you actually get those back to your home or wherever you're going to be using these. But what happened was they had these little stays. You know what I'm talking about? Those little plastic stays in there that they stick in there to make sure that you don't lose a sock somewhere. Yeah, perfect. Well, and that's what I was dealing with. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm a guy. So what do? I use brute force because I don't have a scissors or anything else with me. So I yank it on these things, and sure enough, those darn things are strong enough that I actually ripped one of the socks. Well, now I'm not very happy. And I thought, my gosh, this is screwed up. Here I've got perfectly good socks, and I just messed them up. So fortunately, like I said, I did have some fingernail clippers, and I went in there and I went individually, clipped those little son of a guns out of there, so that now I had the product that I needed to have to do the work I needed to do. So now I had all these things, and I thought, okay, this means something. I realized that this is very symbolic in our lives, in that we have all this wonderful tools at our fingertips, and we have things that are happening in our lives, and yet we still have those little stinking stays in there. They were there for a reason. But now we're in a situation where it's keeping us from enjoying and using the things that we have. Does this make sense to anybody here?
Yep.
Yeah, so I literally have that in my little offline chart where if it comes up to that, I know that that's what that person is working with. And so we have to go in sometimes and figure out what they are. So let's go ahead and let me see if I can find a binding. Okay, so we did have one there at the very bottom down here. I don't know if you can see that. So T3 means that it's not really a three-dimensional therapy, but it's what we see on the charts, if we're using Dr. Nelson's charts. And that tells me that I need to go to my offline chart at that particular time. And then underneath that, there's a spot in there that says binding cords. In fact, I can bring that open for you here. I'm going to bring up these mini charts. These are the charts that I use. And I'm going to go down and quickly look at this chart right here is my offline indicator. So for those of you who are new to this, let's go like that and kind of bring you over here so you're in the know, you might say. So this one is when I hit a certain spot in the body code for Dr. Nelson, it tells me to go down here to binding cords. And it sends me to this chart, and so that's what this is. So binding cords with socks around it in the little params is the part that I would be going to. And that just simply means that we're going to write up something on the chart, just like it is right here. And let me do the same thing here, zip in there, and pull that down here on this particular person. There we go. You'll see where it says binding cords. And so a binding cord is something that is keeping you from being able to use the full potential of something. I look at it as if you had some papers on your desk and you dropped little drops of honey here and there on your papers. It really messes things up. You got to get in there and clean that whole honey thing off. But in the meantime, it's all like just nasty. And you just can't seem to do anything with it because there's just enough sticky to make it so it's not functioning correctly. And that's exactly what we're dealing with in our regular lives. Now, this particular person had an intolerance to loneliness that they were dealing with. And that was their binding cords. Now, if we go up here to the top and see what they were dealing with, this was something that we actually looked at and was body needs, which means we'd already worked with the arms and shoulders, which was number 1 up here. Then we'd worked with headaches. And then, it looks like this, we actually came back to the number 1 because we had a little break. And then we had a little time left and we're going, so what else are we supposed to do? And it was body needs. That's my go-to if I don't know exactly what we're doing and yet the body has something else it needs to have taken care of. Body gets excited when that happens because it gets to choose whatever it wants. So at that point, and this one, it chose the binding cords. Does that make sense on the binding cords? You know, I felt like it was important that we would go over that. I didn't mean for it to be such a fiasco as far as trying to show you how that works, but that's that particular story. Some of the questions that I got were, how come my shield doesn't stay up? I don't know if anybody's experienced that. In this situation, when we place a shield on somebody, we have Dr. Nelson's version, which looks like this. In the body code, if you look on the left side of this chart, you're going to see how Dr. Nelson says it this way. Shielding is what we're dealing with here. When we release a heart wall from somebody, that's usually the time that we place a shield on someone because we're taking away the protection that you already had. And if you think about the normal shield that the body places, well, it's not even a shield, it's a wall. Most of you that I've done work with, you'll know that we have created or we've located many different walls as we did the work. And so it's kind of important to figure out what is building that wall as we remove it. And every time we always say, how thick is it? And then we remove something, we check it till it's gone. But the thing that we removed was usually some kind of a negative emotion or something. If we go back here on this chart right here, here's Dr. Nelson's chart. So we've got all these emotions. There's 60 different emotions. Every one of those things is negative. Everything is low frequency. But yet that was what was protecting your heart before, because that's what the body had to work with. As we do this work and we release that stuff, now we're taking away that protection. Now what we have to do is we have to give them some kind of protection. And that's where we come in and we are placing a shield. So this is the one that Dr. Nelson places on someone. I'm placing a shield around you or me. It covers you completely and is permanent. It will block all negative energies, but will allow positive energies in. I have a variation of that I use because I found that for me, I envision it and it seems to make a difference for me. Blank, I put their name on there. Depends, and you could say you can drop it off if you're working on yourself, but I'm placing a shield on you and it's permanent and covers you completely. It protects you from all negative energies, negative entities of all types, yet allows all positive of all kinds to pass freely back and forth or come and go, however you want to specify that. I use this one because it seems to make a difference, and then I add this little clause on there. I'm also installing a special clause that when you activate your shield by saying shields up, all negative energies and entities will be forced on the outside of the shield. So what is the shield that we're dealing with? It's an energy force. I look at it as a force field, like a bubble that's around me. I use that to protect me from all the different things that are going to come at me, especially to keep out the negative. I have specified this that the positive can come through. In fact, let's go to the next one here. I consider my shield to be a spiritual vortex. You all know what vortex is? Vortex is usually made of materials that will keep the water on the outside, but yet will allow the air to flow back and forth. You know, a lot of clothing is made out of vortex because it has these wonderful properties that allow the air to flow and yet keeps the moisture out. Well, same kind of thing. I call it spiritual vortex because it keeps the negative out, but yet lets the positive flow in and out however it needs to be. And I consider that to be, could be entities, it could be just negative stuff that's going on. Now, the other thing is, a lot of people say, well, what is the issue? What happens when my shields go down? Why do they do that? What causes this? And so I was sitting there thinking about, well, most of the time it's an entity, but you have to lower your shields for the entities to be able to get in and start off with. A lot of times that can come even from sleeping. The shield maybe isn't trained enough to know that it needs to be coming up automatically. I don't really have a problem anymore, but I've been doing this for a long time. I would think, you know, as you kind of compare that shield is, for me, it's a big globe. It's just like a Japanese float or a force field that goes all the way around me. It's very light. It's not heavy. When you remove energies from someone who has a heart wall, a lot of times they're going to feel lighter and lighter and lighter. It's like taking off layers of armor. So the purpose of the shield is to make it so it's really nice and light. It's airy, very powerful. It's now you got a high frequency shield that you're using. So that's kind of the aspect that we're looking for right here. Start thinking negative or you start getting in a conflict with somebody, then immediately that shield starts to fall down. And what happens a lot of times is you'll get a thought in your head and you go, where the heck did that thing come from? And it will be a negative thought. It'd be like way out in left field. And I'll realize at that point, I'll go, I'm having problems with my shields. And I'll say shields up and that thought will just go, just kind of disappear. It's kind of cool the way it just dissipates. Now, one of the things that you can do when you have a shield that's gone down and you recognize it, the easiest way, obviously, to know whether your shields are down or not is to use muscle testing and find out. Just ask yourself, are my shields up? If they're not, then usually there's a reason for that. So what's going on here, prayer is the first thing that I do if I can't seem to get my shield up. A lot of times it's just a matter of saying a prayer, sincere, saying, please help me get my shields back up, and I'll test and they're back up. And sometimes you just did something that maybe you shouldn't have, and you know that the shield just went down. I've done that a lot of times. And then it'll take me a minute or two to say, okay, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Help me to get the shield back up. Especially if I'm working with somebody, I don't want to accept what they are dealing with into my personal energy space. So I like to keep my shields up when I'm working. The other way to get rid of it, meditation. If you don't believe in God, or you just need some, and it doesn't seem to be going there in the right direction, think positively and do some meditation. Dig down inside and do that peace process. Find out what's going on inside of you that's not quite right. And then as that lifts, then you can say, put my shields up, please, and check and see if they're up. Now, if you got that special clause in there, when the shield goes up, it'll kick everything out on the outside. Motion code work, body code work, a lot of different types of energy. You don't have to have these to be able to do the work that needs to happen. I remember talking with one practitioner, and she said that when she started to do her work, what she did was she envisioned in her mind putting on a lab coat, and that lab coat represented the shield that she needed to have in order to do the work that she was going to do. Anything that helps you makes a difference. I have a friend who, when we put the shield on and we were talking about him, and he says, the way I envision it is in the Wonder Woman movie. I love this metaphor. I don't know if you remember or if you've seen this movie just for this purpose alone. I mean, I get goosebumps when I think about this, because here's Wonder Woman in World War I, and they're in the trenches. Machine guns just would mow people down, and they just weren't able to move an inch. And she said, the heck with this. And she had her outfit. She's got her shield out, and she stands up, and now you know how she can just shoot the bullets off of her wrist braces there, or those wristbands that she's got. But then they start all targeting on her, and she just brings her shield up and gets down behind it. And this was the inspiration for this friend of mine. When they saw that just gave them the strength to take on the adversary, you might say. And this was a workplace situation that person was going through. So now I think about that also. And some people picture it, and everybody's a little bit different. Some people picture it like a big bell that goes over the top of them. However you work with your shield, whatever you need to do to make sure that's in place, that's a really important part of it. Okay, that takes care of that part of it, unless you've got questions. You got some questions for me?
I do, Tom.
What do you got?
This is helpful because I've had clients, kind of wonder, well, if it's permanent, why is it down? So this is helpful for me to be able to explain to them. And I wonder also, as you were talking about how they come down, what popped into my mind was that I've heard from other modalities, perhaps when someone is drinking or using drugs or in a certain kind of environment like that, they're kind of opening a doorway for unwanted energies. Would you?
That is exactly right. And in fact, I'll tell you a little bit about another friend of mine. When he was younger, he told me, he said that anything, he says, I can't think of a drug I didn't try. He smoked everything, he took everything, he drank everything. He was a pretty wild guy. And he says, quite frankly, says, if I hadn't changed my life, and in this situation, he became religious, but he said, if it hadn't changed, I'd be dead. He says, there's no doubt in my mind that I never would have made it out of that situation. Thank goodness that God did some things for him that changed his mind. To this day, because of the things that he did, he still feels entities literally coming in and sitting on him. He can feel them walking around him on his bed. It would terrify the heck out of me. It does to him too. He's like, what am I supposed to do with this? This is a very pious man who, at this point, does everything he's asked to do. He actually ended up being a leader in our church, and for 5 years asked to lead the group that we have as a bishop. And so this is a pretty important position, and yet he was still dealing with this, and it just driving me crazy. How do I, what is it that is happening here? And just like some people who have had near-death experiences where they passed on and came back, each time it seems like the angels left the door open a little bit, so that they now have the ability to work with it. And we talked about that last week, or last time we did this. In fact, we even talked a little bit about shielding. But when you have these experiences and you do certain things, there is so much around us. There's certain doors that are open that just are not going to be shut. So you're going to experience certain things that are going to, there's got to be a reason for everything. But it's a matter of just like exercise. You know, if you do meditation, it's hard for some people to do meditation. I'm one of them. You know, I've been working on this for a while. I see people do meditation. In fact, when I went to one of Barbara's classes, one of the Gong classes, that very first one, and you know, I had no idea what to expect. None. I'm dressed in jeans. I don't know if I was even wearing jeans. Anyway, I think I had khaki pants on or something. I didn't know what to expect. I got there and everybody's running around in leotards and tights, and so that they can do all the exercises. And so I go in there and I'm sitting there. I'm the only one sitting in a chair. Everybody else is on the mat or on the ground or on the sides. And I'm just doing my thing, just trying to join forces, and I'm really enjoying the event. And we got done with this, and a kid came up to me. I call him a kid because he was younger than me. So he was probably 20s. And he says, wow, man, he says, I could hardly do my regular meditation because I was watching this really cool colors that were spinning in front of you the whole time. And, you know, I can't see that stuff. I'm not privy to that at the moment. Fascinates me when people can see that. I've had people come up and say, you have this most beautiful blue aura, or you've got this going on, and some very special things have been shared with me that they can see because of things that they've experienced. And I asked him, I said, so how did you learn how to do that? And he got real quiet. He says, well, he says, I was really into psychedelic drugs, and he'd opened some doors. Now, I don't know. I've always been one. I've never had drugs, except for the kind that, you know, they prescribed to me. That was something that, in my mind, I was always taught I needed to stay away from. And yet, there's a lot of people that have experienced things that I wonder about and think, well, how would I be able to do that? But that's my guess. The things that they are experiencing are because of things that they've opened the doors in the past. And you're going to remember that we have free agency to do what we want, but it's not always free. There's always a consequence to what we do. And I know that when I was growing up, it was a big thing for the marijuana, that people would say, oh, it's not addictive or whatever. And then I would talk to other guys who said, yeah, it's really addictive. He says that sometimes I just all of a sudden, I haven't touched the stuff for 10 years, and all of a sudden, boom, I have a flashback where it really does affect him. And does that answer your question, I guess?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, there's so many things that we do not see. There's so many levels. There's so many frequencies. There's so many phases, I don't know what you would call them, that are real, and yet it's just like a frequency that we can only see a spectrum of our physical body, and yet our subconscious can see 360 degrees all the way up and down, and it sees everything. And I released some entities from a person the other day, and I always learn new things. That's why my entity chart keeps getting bigger and bigger. And hers was eyes. They were eyes. They were eyes that were watching her. And I thought, wow, this is a weird one. Yet I had another client that had the same thing. I don't know. They aren't the normal demons, devils, disembodied spirits that, you know, we're led to believe are out there. There's eighth dimensional beings. There's different dimensions. And this particular person had these eyes, and she says, I just catch it out of the corner of my eye. In fact, I get tingles on the bad side when I think about these things. And we had released them from her. They had been watching her for quite a while. And so there's just all kinds of stuff. There's reasons to have a shield. It's a good thing. Any other questions?
Tom, one question, and I have to put my shields on every day. For the last year and a half, I've been finding myself. I have to practice on myself. It is always an 80% or some 70%, more than 70%. Shields, it's never 100%. So I have to work every day to get my shields up. And what is going on? I could not find what's going on.
Okay, well, I'm testing for it. Is it okay if I connect to you?
Okay.
Yeah, so I'll connect right now. Let's see. Do we need to go to the charts? I'm going to go to the charts if that's all right. We'll go ahead and we'll kind of do a little mini session here. A little trick, folks, if you are using the Dr. Nelson system. Let's see if it lets me in. So if it doesn't, oh, it did. I was going to say, if it doesn't, for those of you who are having problems, go down to the Spanish. Click on the Spanish version, and then when it asks you to translate, it says yes.
Oh,
And
okay.
I thought, oh my gosh, I had a whole day I couldn't get in. Okay, so Ricky, we're going to do a little session on you, if that's okay.
Yes, please, thank you.
And let's see, I'm going to write this down so we can pop it up here. So let's see, is there something that we can do to help you to have your shields go up 100%? And the answer I'm getting right now is yes. Now give me a yes, give me a no, give me good to go. Normally I would do a prayer on this. And that takes us to another question. Remind me, if we have time, we'll talk about a little bit about Qigong. And that has been an eye-opener for me also this lately here. Still waiting for my remarkable to come alive. So now, how old are you, Ricky?
I'm 37.
One child or two?
One.
So that tells us the information we need to know in case this is passed on. Shield is partial. And you're saying this is happening most of the time?
Yes.
Okay, so let's ask. First of all, give me a yes, give me a no, give me good to go. Okay, so I'm asking Ricky's subconscious, is this really the case? And it's saying no. Is this just what you're telling him? And the answer is yes. So that's something right off the bat. There's an issue going on that you're not getting completely the correct answer from your subconscious. Is that really true? Yes. So when that shield goes up, is it really fully in place? Yes, it is. Is it most of the time fully in place? And it says yes. Are you allowing anything at all to come in there? No. Are you deceiving Ricky? The answer is yes. So let's say, how do we do that? Is there something that is keeping you from trusting Ricky? Is that what it is? No, it's not a trust issue. Is it a knowledge issue? Is it a doubt issue? I think, is this on Ricky's part, on the consciousness? Yes. Are you completely synced up with the rest of the body? And the answer is no. So some part of you is not trusting you completely. And this may be something you want to do. Remember the 5.5 parts? You might want to go over that video again and make sure you are synced up in the whole thing. Is that what we're dealing with? Yes. Is it 1, 2, 3? Number 3 is your inner child. No, it's not. It's your ego. Number 3 is your ego. And is it because you feel like you should be further along? And the answer is yes. So you're demanding a lot out of yourself, first of all. And so what's happening when you're testing? Is there doubt? No. Are you just unwilling to get the right answers? No. Is there something that's happened to your ego in the past? And the answer is yes. Well, let's see. What is that? We know this is ego for right now. So let's go ahead and let's see. Is this something on the right side, left side? Energy circuits. It's a toxin. And within the toxins, is this on the right side or left side? It's a chemical issue. And is this on the right or the left? It's environmental. And is this on the right side or the left side? Top 3, GMO foods. Okay, so for the Ultimate Healer class members, we probably are going to be going over symbolic things tonight in the charts. So what this symbolic means, it's probably not really GMO foods. GMO foods means genetically modified foods. Induce inflammation responses. Is that what you're getting? No. So lead to autoimmune or degenerative disorders? No. Is it actually foods? No. So what is it that's causing this? Well, we got to remember that the body goes to where it is the closest to what it's dealing with. And it knows that I have a chart that's called symbolic or symbolic things here. So I go to this chart, and this chart looks like, so let's go down to the symbolism chart. These are the charts that you get when you become an ultimate healer. Okay, so we're looking for GMO foods. Well, there's GMO foods. This is my symbolic of toxins, and it could be some other stuff that's in there. But if we go to GMO foods, you'll see, is it in this group? And it says yes. Is it window dressing? Is it genetics? Con man? Con man. So think about what GMO foods are. If you go back and you look at the picture from Dr. Nelson, and you are here, I don't know if this will work or not. No, it doesn't. Oh, it does work. Boy, that is the neatest thing you taught me, Ricky. Okay, so we go in here, we go, so here's GMO foods. Okay, so it's genetically modified, but if you can see this, there's a tomato with a hypodermic needle in there. So what they've done is they've gone in and they've genetically modified the foods by changing the actual DNA of the product. So you got these tomatoes that normally the bugs would get to, that's hard for the farmers to produce a really good one. And so there's a lot of changes. When you go to the store and you buy a tomato, it looks absolutely fantastic. There's no bug marks on them. They're completely smooth. They smell great. And you take it home and you pay a premium price for it. You go home and you eat it and your body says, what the heck is this thing? It's not a tomato because it can't process it correctly. Is that understandable? Give me a thumbs up if you understand what I'm saying. So what's going on is we look at this symbolically, and now we're over here looking at the GMO foods. What does a con man do? He is out to take advantage of you. So are you thinking that you're a con man? Are you dealing with a con man? When is this situation? When did this happen? And so I'm going to write this down as symbolic. Is this in the last 10, 20, 30, 25, 26? This is 26 years ago. 1993, one of my years that seems to pop up over and over and over. And you were 16 years old at that time. I did that without a chart, folks. I just got to tell you, I'm getting better at this. So anyway, so you were 16 years old at that time. Something happened to you. Somebody tried to take advantage of you. No, your family. I think it's family related. And you saw that particular issue. I think you were conned. Your family was conned. Was it medically? Financially? It was financially. And so I think there's something going on inside of you that is conflicting with the ability for you to heal. Yes, because you're afraid that you're going to come across as a con man. Does that sound familiar at all? I think it does. You have that little niggling doubt inside of you that is keeping you from being a full healer because you don't trust yourself yet on what you're doing. And you think that right now, I know that you're in India, so it's a situation of people are trying to figure out what it is that Ricky's doing. And you are feeling like you can't charge as much money as you think you should because this resistance. Now, if there was full confidence, then that would be different. So let's see, can we release this energy that's causing this issue? Let's go ahead and let's just do this. So we're releasing this toxin completely and fully. Is this helpful, everybody? Okay, let's help you understand what's going on. There's usually something going on an underlying area, and that's why this is so important to nail down. Do we need to know more about this one? No. So at this point, what we do is we're just going to go back to this and, okay, so let's see, is there something else that we can do to help you with this? The answer is yes. So we go back here, and we say, is this on the right side? Is it on the left side? It's an energy. Is this on the right? On the left? It's a mental energy. And is this on the right side? It's on the left side. So we are looking at a no will to live. Now everybody gets excited about this and says, oh, what's going on? This is horrible. Well, it just means that this is when life overwhelms you, okay? That's the big thing you need to remember on this. And is this one yours? No, it's not even Ricky's. Is it his mom's side? It's his dad's side. He inherited it from his dad. Did he inherit it from his dad, his mom? He inherited it from his mother. Did you get it from her mother, her father? No, this is where it started? Yes. So this is Ricky's grandmother that we're dealing with here. So do we need to know more? Ricky, did you pass this on to your son? Absolutely. So there's child one. Okay, anybody else involved? Yes, there is, because you probably have brothers and sisters. So did it go sideways on us? Yes. So I just put down plus all. Can we just release this from everybody? And the answer is yes. And I can feel tingles all over me. All levels, dimensions, realities, parts, deepest root and cause, generations, to infinity and beyond, whatever you want to say for that, as long as you believe that it's going to release it completely on all levels. There we go. I just feel the energy just lifting. Can you feel that? All the way in India, you can feel it. Okay, is there something else we can do to help you with this? And it says yes. We've only got a little bit of time left on this one, but on the right, on the left, it's an energy. Gives you an idea where you can go, though, correct?
Yeah, I feel some tingling on my fingertips.
Yeah, okay. So this is a mental energy on this time. Is it on the right, on the left? Is it? Now, see, this is what I was talking about. It hit this spot here. So this is where you would normally do a T3 session. But for me, it tells me I'm going off charts. And then I go to my off chart here, and I just ignore this part of it. See, is it on A, B, C, even, odd, 1, 3, 5, 7. And you know what? On that chart, it says we're dealing with your dreams. Your dreams is to become a healer. So dreams is what we're dealing with here. So, and when I get that one, it says your dreams, I know that it's something that's keeping you from your dreams. So I just put in here, keeping you. And then I ask, is there something we can do to release that? And it says yes. Is this on the right or on the left? It's an energy. And is this on the right side? Is it on the left side? It's a mental energy. And then we look at this and we say, is this on the right side? It is. And guess what? It's a despair statement. This is not why we came here necessarily, but this despair statement, this is all you get normally. Just says just something that you said. I have a chart, and this is where we'll pull this other one back up over here real quick. Make sure I grab the right one. And these are, where are you? They should be right here. Oh, it is this one. Okay. So these are the despair statements that we've got, that I've written out here. Let's just do it this way. And is it on this chart? Yes. Is it on page 1? No, it's on page 2. So it's this one over here. Is this a column A, column B, even, odd, 1, 3? Okay, so here's what it is. Let me zoom in a little bit. This is the one right here. Nobody hears me is one of his despair statements. Doesn't mean that it's not. Doesn't mean that it's true, but this is something you've told yourself. In fact, when was this? The last 10, 20, 30, 40, 35, 36. There's 36 years ago. Gee whiz, you're only 37 now. You're 1 year old. Okay, and this is what the thought was that was going in your head, and you're still dealing with this programming because you really meant it. I'm crying here, nobody's picking me up. That's probably the issue. You know, I'm hungry, nobody hears me. And so that makes a difference, and it's a statement that's in there. Is there another one here while we're at it? It says yes. Okay, let's see. Is it in on that page over there? Okay, so A, B, even, 2, 4, 6. Let's see what we got here. I don't have what it takes. Now, we'll just stop there for a sec because we got to wrap this up. But think about what the implications are right now with just these two statements. Nobody hears me, and I don't have what it takes. Is that the issue that's keeping your shield from coming up 100%? And the answer is yes. So can we just release these? It says nope, there's something else you got to do first. Now I'm sure, is there more despair statements? Nah, it says no, we're okay. So let's go back to our chart here. And is this on the right, on the left? It's an energy. And is it on the right side? Is it on the left side? We're talking about, well, we're right back down to the mental section there. Lately, I've been hanging out in the mental section with everybody lately. Okay, let's see. Is this on the right, on the left? Got another no will to live. And is this one yours? This one's yours. Last 10, last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, last 6 months, 6, 7, 8. This is 8 months ago. Once again, doesn't mean that you're going to commit suicide or anything else like that. But this is like when life is overwhelming you and you're just not sure how to deal with everything. And so this little energy comes down there. I consider it a drop of honey on your papers. Each one of these is gumming up the system so that you can't quite get it to go where you want it to go. So 8 months ago, I don't know, July, whatever it is, somewhere in that last year, do we need to know more? No. Can we release this? Yes, let's go ahead and release it. I feel all kinds of energy right now as I'm releasing this. And you don't have to say everything every single time, but you got to think it. You got to be willing to release on all levels. Okay, now, can we release those despair statements? Yes. So now we're going to go and we're going to say, I'm going to release all this negative programming. I always ask, is any of it true? And the answer is no. It's just a belief system. That's something that you put into your programming. So let's just go ahead and release this completely and fully. This time, we're also asking, these are never to be used again for any kind of programming purposes. Just eliminate them from out of your programming. And I've got a really, really strong energy releasing from this. Now I group them, so I release all the despair statements at the same time. Now, is there something else? Can we release this? Is there something else that's keeping you from your dreams? The answer is no. So are you going to be able to test for 100% now? Test yourself right now. Are you at 100% shielding? Says yes, doesn't it?
Yes, answer is yes.
Yeah. And so my guess is now that we've released these other things, you know, there's other despair statements. You've got the charts. You can go through them yourself. I'll put a plug in for my dear friend, Jan Van Zandt. I've been going through her book, Get Over It. It's a good book. You should get a hold of it. And in the third section, there's 42 different, she calls them NDPs or something like that. Anyway, they're negatives that I read that and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's got my stuff. No, I probably got her stuff. You know, obviously we didn't do it at the same time, but just like despair statements. Now, here's the thing that I'm going to teach you real quick before we have to get off. Qigong. I've been studying this Qigong here for the last couple of days and starting to go through it, and something I'm going to incorporate in there. But one of the things they said is, and this is new for you all, and I'll go over it again for the ultimate healers later, when you release energies, we should always try and replace energy. And I'm like, well, it is kind of like that, what I talked about when we take out negative emotions and sometimes we have to replace them. Well, so what I'm doing now at the end of every session with a person, now if they're in my office, I'll put my hand right on their chest. I'll take my left hand, and I'll place it right on their chest, and I'll put my right hand on their back. And I'm just doing this to you right now at a distance, Ricky. It's quite the distance right now. And what I'm doing is I'm just filling you up with good energy, and it's coming directly from the Creator down through me right into you. And I just use the word creator. And so I'm just filling you up like you are an empty tank and just a hollowed out body. And I just fill you from the toes all the way up through your body, all the way to your top and top you off. Can you feel that energy? It's strong. And you might be just a tingling or whatever in your body, but right now we're filling you with all kinds of good energy. And I just filled you all the way to the top. So how do you feel right now?
Feels great. On my left side, I feel heavy. My lungs starts to get heavier, and my heart was heavier. And you know, it was some sort of energy up on my left side.
Okay, so we did an energy transfusion demonstration last time we did this, a couple weeks ago. That's when we pulled all that negative out and we ran it through. I mean, it's very similar. And so now I'm just doing this, and it seems to help with the time of processing. You know, a lot of times I get the phone call saying, I got a headache. I dealt with one this morning. And we checked, and sure enough, it was due to processing. And we went ahead and corrected it. But now I'm doing this extra energy on it, and I think it's making a difference. So what do you think, folks?
I actually felt that too.
You know, I believe that this is something else we may be doing as a group. There, Miss Barbara.
Yeah, and there's other people commenting in the chat. A lot of us are identifying with this letting go of our despair statements around stepping into this work. So
yes,
I think it's group work.
Yes, I think so too. Something that I think we can develop as a group. So, all right. Well, any other? Well, we're already past our time. I got to get together with the Ultimate Healers. Just so everybody knows, it's going to be in April. We're going to open up that class again. We're just trying to get stuff put together so that you know, you got quite a few Ultimate Healers on the call tonight that are helping to refine that.
And it is an amazing, amazing class. I'm amazed every time we do another class. It's awesome.
All right. Well, I'll let you all go. Thank you so much for being here tonight. It's wonderful. It's a great way to celebrate my birthday. I appreciate that.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Thank you so much.
You betcha. We'll talk to you all soon, and the Ultimate Healers, I'll see you out there in a moment.